professional whipper in plantation society was supposed to render a black person completely broken, as humble as a dog, with every last remnant of manhood taken out of him, so he's as spiritless as a kitten.
Martin Robinson Delany was born May 6, 1812, one of 5 freed black children in Charlestown, Virginia. His grandmother told him that his grandfather, an African chieftain named Shango, had died years before for refusing to be whipped. 10-year-old Martin saw his own father, Samuel, jailed and beaten because he, too, would not let any white man whip him. Martin's mother, Patty Delany, ignored a state law by giving Martin and his brothers and sisters a special book that would unlock his mind, dreams of Africa, and all of the world. The New York Primer for Spelling and Reading. With this book, and by eavesdropping outside the window of the school for white children, the Delanys soon learned to read and write well enough to write false travel papers for their enslaved friends around Charlestown. One day in 1822, the Delanys drove a wagon with all their few belongings out of Charlestown for a weekend trip that actually took them to Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, and greater freedom. Samuel Delany managed to buy his freedom and joined them there. 19-year-old Martin had made a vow to see Africa someday, so he left home for Pittsburgh, where for the next 23 years he would marry and help raise 7 children, grow from being a barber and a laborer to become a physician's assistant, and then to become the eloquent editor of his own influential newspaper, and then to become one of the most respected spokesmen of the black community in the city and region. A courageous journey alone through Louisiana in 1839 added to his already vast first-hand understanding of the American scene in his day.
Shortly there came forward a small black boy, about 11 years of age, thin visage, projecting upper teeth, rather ghastly, consumptive look. The child trembled with fear as he approached the group. "Now, gentlemen," said Grayson, "I'm going to show you a sight," having in his hand a long whip, the cracking of which he commenced as a ringmaster in the circus. The child gave him a look never to be forgotten, a look beseeching mercy and compassion. The child commenced trotting around on his hands and feet like an animal. "Now, gentlemen, look," said Grayson. "He'll whistle, sing songs, hymns, pray, swear like a trooper, laugh and cry, all under the same state of feelings, with a peculiar swing of the whip, bringing the lash down upon a certain spot on the exposed skin, the whole person being prepared for the purpose." The boy commenced to whistle almost like a thrush. Another cut changed it to a song, another to a hymn. Then a pitiful prayer. When he gave utterance to oaths which would make a Christian shudder, after which he laughed outright. Then from the fullness of his soul, he cried, "Oh, massa, I'm sick. Please stop little," casting up gobs of hemorrhage.
Burning always to do more for his people, Martin Delany spoke to audiences throughout the northern states as he co-edited the North Star newspaper in the late 1840s with the famed abolitionist Frederick Douglass. He was almost lynched by an angry Ohio mob that didn't like one of his candid lectures on the necessity to respect all able black Americans.
"I will never cease to cry aloud until I and every wronged and oppressed son and daughter of America and the world stand up in the living image and dignity of manhood, in full possession of all those rights and privileges common to our nature, made sacred by the God of love. Act, Act in the living present, but act. This is my life's motto. Face thine enemies and accusers. Scorn the rack and rod. And if thou hast truth to utter, speak the truth and leave the rest to God.
During this time, Martin Delany applied for a patent on a navigational pulley system, but the U.S. patent official told him that he was ineligible because the law declared black men only a fraction of a man and were not full U.S. citizens. Then the Delanys lost all claim to a very large inheritance, willed to Mrs. Delany from her father, in part because Pittsburgh's white lawyers shied away from representing a black man and mulatto woman against white claimants for such wealth. But the great blow to Martin Delany came in 1851, just 4 months before Dr. Delany was to graduate from Boston's Harvard Medical School. A group of white students opposed the opinion of their professors, demanded and won the expulsion of Delany and 2 other black students, citing the need to preserve the school's prestigious image. Martin Delany's faith in the American dream was finally shaken to the core and began to crumble.